on to talk about some of the meta application that we're going to be seeing with this new maze of Muertos. So make sure you guys smash the crap out of those zombie cards. I know I didn't mention the zombie cards in the pickups video, but I mean, the reality is these cards are looking pretty decent. Being able to bring out 3 Call of the Haunteds that turn into interruptions, it seems kind of cool, honestly. I've already seen some decent gameplay with this deck, and I think it might be in the same category as Odeon. You know, even Odeon can still win a couple of events. You know, I think the Pumpkin stuff may be on the same level, if not just a little bit below. Gate Guardian was worse than this deck by about a mile, and I think they've done a good job, you know, trying to make this work with the already existing zombie support. So, you know, you kind of take your W's where you can get them, and I think that this was one of those few cases that it looks pretty decent, honestly. So I gotta give it to them. Let's talk about Chaos Distill. This card, no matter what happens, is going to be a card I'm going to have to keep looking at for years. So Chaos Distill says, while this card is face up on the field, any cards sent to your graveyard is banished instead. There has to be an application there with this. But we can also add a Macrocosm, or a card that mentions it, from your deck to your hand, except for Chaos Distill. And if Macrocosm is on the field, you can banish this face-up card and spell and trap card zone to add a light monster with question mark attack from your deck to your hand. I like the fact that you could now justifiably play 6 copies of Macrocosmo. If you want to get even crazier, you can play 3-Dimensional Fissure, 3 Chaos Distill, 3 Macrocosmo, making it so that modern era decks right now can't basically get any setup is going to be a very, very big problem, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. Next up is the Soul of Gaia of the Fierce Knight. Talk about a card that we were all like super excited about to get as a promo card, but God, we have had to wait so long to actually see, you know, this come to fruition. And the fact that, I mean, Heart of Gaia is a very good card. So obviously, it's always a Millennium card. It has, if there's level 5 or higher on the field, it's free normal summon. The level of all monsters your opponent controls that are normal or special summon in attack mode while this card is on the field are increased by 7. He has a built-in level modifier. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can send one other face-up monster you control to the graveyard to negate that activation. If you do, destroy that card. So you know those back row that you've crystallized that are called the Millennium Monsters? Yeah, you can go ahead and kick those out, and you can go ahead and start turning them into some actual value for the deck, which actually is really, really good. We're also getting Omega Magnet Plus, man. You know how long we got all this Magnet Warrior support, and they didn't even give us the best card. We had to comport it in over here. So this card is in your graveyard or hand. You can destroy 1 rock monster in your hand or face on the field. Special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. When an Earth monster's effect is activated on the field, you can tribute this card. Target 1 face-up monster on the field and change it to defense position. I mean, this card's not exactly the craziest thing in the world, but I wanted to still mention this because having additional Magnet Warrior support that you can basically extend on through is going to probably make this a little bit more exciting than I think what most players want to see. The Magnet Warrior stuff, you're still dealing in Rogue at this point. You're not dealing in like, uncertainties. We know that this is going to be Rogue. Not much we can do about it. All right. Heroes. As much as I want to sit here and I want to, say that, Hero's about to be a tier 1 deck, the only real thing that you've gotten is you've gotten a better end board that doesn't end on, you're still getting nibbed. It's always going to be the Hero argument. Is Hero's going to be a good deck? Well, your end board doesn't look very good under Nibiru. Well, that's a true statement. But Atomic does give the deck a lot. The consistency upgrades are great. We're missing, once we get, I think, Fountain, I think your deck is basically good to go. I mean, Fountain ends up slotting as a 1-of, but we had to get the support before Fountain so that we can kind of work our way up to getting that. It's a slow and steady race kind of thing. And also, it's all low rarity. I think low rarity stuff alone is going to make players want to pick this up. Let's get into the scary stuff. The reality of Mikanko running around in this format. So right now, Mikanko, if people are having flashbacks to Ubel running around in the format, I think right now Mikanko is going to be one of those decks that's going to start off not being very respected. But it's one of those particular cards and strategies that can ignorantly just play through whatever your opponent has. You can end the game on like a full field. That's another very scary thing, is like this game is such a build-a-board concept that what happens the minute that, suddenly you get set up and a Mikanko player goes, oh, okay, cool, OTK and damage reflect all that damage, and you're just like, I never could imagine this. This is crazy. Yeah, no shit. All right, welcome to Mikanko. Enter the Dark Magician of Destruction. So our boy DM of Destruction is about to spice and things up around here. So you guys remember I talked a long time ago, and we looking at like the OCG trends, where we had the Dark Magician girl, the Magician's Apprentice. It was being splashed into all of these different decks in the OCG, because the whole concept and idea for this is, being able to just one Dark Magician's girl's access gives you Sarcophagus, and then congratulations, you warp her into something else while, also toggling for a Gandora, which just gets you an additional board wipe if need be. All right, I too love being able to search for free bodies. Also, it's not like you can't just drop the Gandora on the field. You got an extra little body or something to resource out along the way. It also works on the same thing with the Horus stuff. Mseti's a spellcaster. You go Mseti, discard, grab King Sark, slam down King Sark, revive the Mseti. Congratulations, you activated a spell card. You got the requirements for a dark spellcaster. Go on ahead and, start to play the game. It's also the same thing with Diabellstar. Diabellstar is a dark spellcaster. The point is, all of these different decks are about to bring Red Eye's Dark Dragoon back into the format. Now, Dark Dragoon's not on the level that he used to be, but you're going to start to ask yourself a lot of questions. Can my deck actually beat a Dragoon? What if the Dragoon resolves its plus power effect? It's at 4K. What am I going to do about this? These are going to be some very interesting questions a lot of duelists are going to be asking themselves here in the near future, and I'm kind of all for it, honestly, because reality's a come a knockin'. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to be happening with that. And then we've got Illusion Gate. Now, Illusion Gate is going to be one of those fun little thrust targets that we're going to have to deal with. And the reality of the situation is this is a Dark Hole and a Monster Reborn slapped together on one frickin' card. All right, now, I do remind everybody that Ghost Spell in the Haunted Mansion is in fact a card that does exist. If you're sitting here and you're like, oh my god, I'm so scared shitless of this card, just hold the frickin' Ghost Spell, man. Ghost Spell's already kind of creeping around in the format as it is, as a tech choice. I don't think that you're going to do yourself any disservice by not being available to, try to counter it, all right? It is a incredibly broken card. Not a single person is going to deny that. But I do think that there is going to be some genuine concern with the card popping up as a thrust target, even as a potential powerhouse one-of. This set doesn't do a lot to change the game, but it does a lot to kind of wedge in different deck building options. And, 999% more Red Eye's Dark Dragoon running around the format is scary, but also, having probably one of the craziest targets that you can have in the form of Illusion Gate is going to kind of open up some crazy little ideas. So we'll see where that goes. But please, how much do you think that this meta is going to change with Muertos? Leave a comment down below. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.